Yeah, let's talk about Chase Lee because Chase Lee is a very, very interesting player, and let's go through a few reasons why I find him so interesting. So I'll put a disclaimer on this that this conversation is going to go really into pitch dynamics, and some people will find it interesting, and some people won't find it interesting. But if you want to learn a little bit about pitch dynamics and tunneling, we're going to talk about that in this Chase Lee video. So after the Toronto Blue Jays acquired him, I've spent the last 24 hours really digging through tape, trying to figure out exactly what it is that I think the Toronto Blue Jays saw in him that make him so interesting for them. Because I don't think this is just a regular depth pickup. I think that he has the opportunity and the potential with some minor tweaks to make some real genuine impact at the big league level. I'm not talking about a closer, but I'm talking about a reliable middle reliever that can get outs to righties and lefties. And getting lefties out as a sidearm pitcher is a rare thing. But this is the pitch that I think does it, because after digging through all the tape, I know he only throws this pitch, the changeup, about 6% of the time. But I'll say this, between the changeup, the four-seam fastball, and the sinker, he does a beautiful job of tunneling these pitches. And when I talk about tunneling, I'm talking about the ability to release from the same arm point and the same arm slot. So there's deception in the view of the hitter, right? You're releasing everything from the same arm slot with the same arm speed, and you're tunneling these pitches effectively so the hitter's having a harder time picking it up out of hand. And I think that these three pitches, he does a beautiful job of doing that. The sweeper is where it falls down, and the sweeper got murdered this year. And the biggest problem that I find with him and the sweeper is that against right-handed hitters, he's able to start that pitch middle and finish off the plate. So he's actually generating some chase and some whiff because of that. The problem is against left-handed hitters, he's forced to try to backdoor the sweeper all the time. And by backdoor, I mean start it in the right-hand batter's box and try to get it over the outside corner. That gives you a very low margin of error, though, because if you miss outside, it's a non-competitive pitch. It was never in the strike zone, and guys are going to spit on it. It's just basically just wasting a pitch. The problem is if you miss inside, now that pitch is middle, or low and into a left-hand hitter, which is kind of the death zone against left-hand hitters, especially since the velocity he has isn't really enough to get away with those mistakes, and he only has so much deception. I think what the Toronto Blue Jays see in him is a legitimate opportunity against left-hand hitters to use this changeup, which really does work as a split finger fastball in terms of the movement and the velocity separation. I think that they see him as somebody that can go changeup sinker against lefties and keep them off, and then use a four-seam fastball and a breaking ball to get out right-handed hitters with effect. And I think that this sweeper is an X factor, but I think that what's happening is there's a lot of arm drag on his release of this sweeper. So it's an easy tell to the hitter. It looks different coming out than all of his other pitches. I think the problem with that is because the arm drag, they're going to go towards finger dexterity and shortening the motion and increasing the arm velocity. And I think they're going to try to change this into a slider. I think if he changes this into a slider, you're going to get less horizontal movement, but more vertical depth. And I think that that's going to open him up to a whole world. So that's just my take on it, but that's how I would try to adjust things, because I think there's a lot of potential in this.